Let's turn up this music. And we are back. Still working on LangFlow deployment, production-ready deployment. And today, we got to finish our Dockerfiles. Making production ready. Let's close this. Sweet. Okay. I was just looking at all the blowback that Manus is getting, which is interesting because our solution is exactly like Manus. Well, it's for DevOps engineering, but so we're claiming a lot more functionality. But it's hilarious to me that people are saying it's just a Sonnet wrapper, right? Well, that's what all Agentic AI is. It's just language models and tools, right? And multi-agent frameworks. You just got putting them together, and that's it, man. And we use open source tools, same as Manus. So, anyways, it's interesting that they're getting so much blowback for no reason. They build a solution, same as we're building a solution, and it works. So, people should focus on that, not trying to go after Manus. It's just a basic product, man. Come on, man. They're not hiding anything. There's nothing nefarious happening. Just that. Anyways, moving on to our Dockerfiles. So I made a lot of changes here. Well, yesterday to our Dockerfile and the template as well for the Nginx. So for the Dockerfile, well, we made things configurable, especially the images, because we're going to inject those images. Plus, we want to be able to control the mutability of these images. So in production builds, we don't use tags, we use digests for our images. So here's our Google Cloud build file, a CI file. So in this case, you can see we're using digest hashes, right? So you need that predictability for your builds. You shouldn't be using image tags. You should be using hashes. Anyway, so that's that. So anyways, that kind of gives us ability to inject our own versions with the build arg. So that's that. There's a couple other changes I made here. Doing the npm install first, separating from the build. Yeah, that can actually help with the caching if you're just doing builds without changes to your package JSON, right? So that's a nice thing. And here, a few more changes. So we added a volume temp. Just explicitly, we also exposed the ports here. So that's a configurable port with a default value as well. We can override this. And we have a debug flag. So for the temp, it's important to have the temp here and also configure that temp with initial properties Nginx, because we're using specific container, which is the unprivileged one, right? The Nginx unprivileged one. So that one gives you clear instructions. Let me make this bigger. They tell you what changes they made, and specifically, what happened to the PID, where it lives. So it's in temp right now, and also because it's in temp, you might want to change the cache. So if you're going to get something like this, your PID failed, permission denied, just because it's in temp right now. Where else? So there's a couple other things they mentioned. Right, the temp path here has been changed to temp variable. Also, caching has been changed as well. So for caching, where's caching? So for caching, there we go. So because they moved the cache as well, you can just configure that in your conf file, right? So you don't have to then, fiddle with your volumes in your Kubernetes, or just handle it here. So just trying to make it a little more production ready. Anyways, these are the suggestions straight from Nginx, so nothing too controversial, nothing too complicated. So anyways, so that was done as well. And for the template, we completely changed the template as well. Anyway, so these are the caches here. It's configured. We had a couple other things. Format. So log format is important. I always like to have control over this. This is because of, once you start scraping the logs, Docker logs, in this case, they'll be the access logs. You want to be able to parse them and put them in the dashboard, right? So you want to have you need to know the structure of it, so you can use a regular expression to parse the logs, and then use something like low-key to scrape them, and then create a nice dashboard in Grafana, right? So for production systems, you want to control the format. Where else? Just a couple other optimizations here that we added here. Security headers as well. And I broke this down into, broke it up, this mapping for the React application into multiple sections, because I do want to leverage cache as well. So I want to be able to cache stuff in the assets, except for the JS and the CSS, because again, they're generated for single page apps. The JavaScript is live, so they're not static JavaScript files for your React application. Similar for the proxy, couple optimization points here as well. I also like to push forward the headers, so I can have them in the application and maybe pass them back to. Anyways, it gives the ability to do stuff on it based on some of these parameters here. Also for logging purposes, I can log these specific things as well. Anyways, a couple of basic things. Yeah, blocking PHP, all that stuff, right? So quite a few changes here. Again, we're trying to make this a little more prod ready. And for the startup script, 2 variables, log format and error log. So the format can be then injected, when you deploy your Helm chart, in your values YAML, you can just throw that in there. And you can just control the format of your logs. So that's nice. Oh, the other thing I added is trap here. So handling your processes is important in Docker files or Docker containers. Also in Kubernetes. I mean, the basic thing you always have to worry about is the zombie process, right? So, zombie process is, it's defined as just a process that's completed execution, but it's still in your process table, right? So this usually happens when when you have a child process that finished executing, but the parent process hasn't yet read the exit status, right? So it's still hanging around, right? So you have all these processes that are just hanging around that should be killed, but they're not killed, right? They're not called by the by the system below Linux. So that's a common thing that happens with Docker containers, right? It also happens with any Linux environment. I mean, we can find if we have any zombie processes running here, for example. So if I do ps, so I can do defunct. So I can grep for the defunct. So we have a zombie process here, and this is VS Code. That's a perfect example. That's just an example. So once you have a zombie process, you can look at you can use the PID to find the parent process. So in this case, I think I know what the parent process would be. So what's the command? You want to go ps dash o. I'm trying to remember my Linux commands here. And then we want to give the was it PPID? It's been a while since I wrote this. Dash p dash the zombie process. There's the process ID. Nothing. Okay, great. It's just a zombie process, right? Just do this. What am I doing? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can see VS Code is creating some zombie process here, but you want to avoid this in your Docker containers, right? Because you want to be able to kill these processes and not into get trouble because of the zombie processes. Now, for this specific thing, I'm not handling zombie processes. So a lot of time I like to install Teeny. So this is what is my go-to when it comes to handling zombie processes. Tiny but valid init for containers, right? So this kind of handles all the zombie process stuff. So usually I install it and I just put it about the entry. So that's now, but for this specific, we'll do this for the backend container, but for the frontend container, that's just too much complexity. Like it's not worth doing it for the Nginx because it handles things well. So instead of that, what I did right now is just to put a little trap in here. So when it comes to traps, in this case, so I'm looking from a Kubernetes point of view first. So, the container has a lifecycle, the pod has a lifecycle, right? And when you kill the pod, it sends a signal to the container to kill the container, right? Now, if you're not handling some of these term or these signals correctly, then in this specific case, you might have a request happening and you want the request to be done. So you want to basically kill the container gracefully, right? So that's the idea here. So you want to be graceful how you kill the container. So, without the trap, you can just, you kill the pod and it just kills it right away, right? So you can be in the middle of a request and it's not going to be, finished, right? It's not going to be gracefully killed. It's just going to be brute force killed, right? So when you do have a trap, the Nginx will finish the process before it gets cleaned up. Okay, so that's nice to have, right? So it's just kind of best practice approach. You want to think about how things get shut down. So when you scale your containers, when you up and down, these signals are sent out, these Linux signals, and you want to be able to catch these signals and process them correctly, part of the life cycle. Anyways, so that's something we added. So build, let's do a build. So we have two builds, one for ARM. So it just builds for my Mac. Sweet. Let's see. Let's run this Docker. Right. So I'm gonna run this with the backend because the backend is still running, and I'm putting my debug flag here. So for the debug, all I'm doing in the debug is I'm just dumping. Where's my debug here? I'm just dumping the conf file so I can see it. So it's nice to have it, especially when you start deploying things in Kubernetes and start fiddling with some of the things like the format. You might just have bugs, so it's nice to kind of have it. And also at the same time, once I see it, then I also validate it here with this command. This just kind of tests your conf file, tells you if it's good before it runs it, before it executes the Nginx process. So let's run this. Oh, am I running it already? Docker PS. Let's see. Yeah, I was running it before from a previous build. Okay. All right, so let's run this build. All right, let's have a look at the logs. All right, so there's the debug part. It dumps the conf file for me so I can see it. And here's the default log format that we have part of the script here, which we can override, which is passing the variable here. Yeah, if it's missing, okay. I thought for a second, confused myself. I thought I'm not, I'm hard coding it. Okay, yeah. So there's the default value. Sweet. All right, and this is how it looks. So you can see it checked the configuration, and then it started the process. And here's how the log looks. So if you go to Chrome, where's my Chrome tab that I had open here? Oh, wrong one, wrong tab. So here you go. So we're running it here with this port 8089. So let's just refresh this. Still good. It's grabbing the backend. So there we go. It's getting the Keycloak configuration. Still good. Okay. So anyway, so it's running. Let's see. What else we got to do here? All right. Let's test the build without ARM. So let's do make. So I have two commands there. One for multi-platform build. One for just ARM. There we go. Okay. So now we can look at the logs here, build logs. So when we built the one 3 minutes ago, this one here, we can see this one just for ARM. So that's this one platform. And it's fairly fast build, right? Took a few seconds to build, so duration 5.8 seconds. That's really fast. And we can put the source here. All right, and the history. There you go. That's me building it for since yesterday. All right. It's very fast. It's efficient. All right. So the one we just did for multiple. There you go. So these are for two different platforms, ARM and AMD 64. So this is the one for the Windows people, the Kubernetes people, right? One thing to notice is that the first one is ARM because we're specifically setting the platform to your current. So a multi-build stage. So if you look at the multi-build stage, to optimize it a bit, this one has build platform. So it uses this environment variable to build based on your current platform or architecture. And then we don't have that for the second one because we want this to be for multi architecture, right? So that's what you get here, right? The first one is for ARM, it's on my Mac, and then the second one is multi-platform. All right. And that one's also fast. You can see it's already cached from the previous one. So good stuff. So I think that's it for the front end container. Now let's look at the backend container. Oh, actually, wait, let me look at the cloud build. So I started doing the cloud build because we want to use a Google Cloud Build to build. So just for the CI, not for the CD. The CD is still in Terraform. We might combine it later, but right now I'll keep it separate. So it's going to be CI, and then CD happens after with Terraform. So in here, first step, we're building the container. So we're passing in our hashes for different images, default ports. All right, cool. These are variables that are provided by Cloud Build, and so is the short hash file or short hash. That's the one I'm going to be using for for Terraform. So we always use the hash. And we have some romantic versions as well, I suppose, for the public. I need the public, so I'm not going public. This is just going to our private repo. There we go. All right. And then we are using also a private pool. So we set up with Terraform, we set up on pool for building with specific configuration for the VMs to build to be a little bit faster. So it's a private pool. It's a private build pool to build the images. Anyway, so we can always do a full CI/CD here. So we'll have another step to deploy with the Helm chart to the cluster. However, for this specific deployment, I like to keep it separate. So we won't do a full CI/CD pipeline, just CI, CD, and then we'll just focus on the CD separately and just live in a CD world. All right, so that's that. We have caching, we have properties here. What else? Am I missing anything here? No, I think we're good. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So the next thing is to rebuild the backend for LangFlow. Rebuild or enhance it, I would say. Enhance. Wait, where I put the cloud build? I want the cloud build to be outside, not in this directory. Oh, that's annoying. Just go outside. Yeah, move it. I like to always have it at the root of the project, not added in the doc. Okay, so the front end is done. Okay, let's look at the back end. Let me see which back end actually they're using. So if you go to Makefile, just ignore this the stuff I added. So for the back end, they're doing this back end. Where's this one here? All right. So it lives in this variable. So let me go see where this Dockerfile is. All right, so this is the one they used to build the backend. Okay, so Docker directory, and it's the push, build and push Docker backend. Okay, so it's this one. All right, that looks like the main file. Okay, now much here. There's the LangFlow image. Okay, let's have a look at LangFlow image here. Where's that coming from? All right, so they're passing it here. And where else do we have here? Right. Looks to me that's going to be in the base, right? All right, let's trace it back completely so we can see what's happening here. Right, so they do Docker build here. So this depends on this one here. And this one is what? Where's this Docker file? I'm assuming it's going to be the base one. No, it's just the main. Where's that one? It's this one. Okay. Looks like this is the main file. This is the base file. So we'll work here. So that's the first thing we'll do. Update this one. And then what are these ones here? This one is what? What's this one used for? Okay. And this one, the base one. All right, so they have a few of them here. Let me see which one we're going to update. So I'll start with the base one, and then I'm going to assume this is the main one, and then this is going to be our kind of fine-tuning one to fine-tune for the backend. So we'll do both of these. So I'll start with this one, and then I'm going to ignore the base and the EP. Let me see what the bases actually use in the make file, just to see if I'm missing anything here in this build. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be used. Okay, so they use this one here, which is the base one, and then they use that one right after. Okay. Oh, sorry. Right after they use this one here. So sorry, they start with this one and they use this one. Okay, so these are the two we care about. Okay. All right. Let's see what we can do here. Starting with the base one. Yeah, so I'm just gonna read through first and then make some adjustments after. So yeah, so I'm gonna change the builder right away. Have a little bit more adjustments for the UV for the Python compilation. All right, we'll definitely have to review this part here. All the different mounts. What else do we have here? Oh, this is both. They do front end and back end in here. So this is like a kind of monolithic container that does both. I want to split this up. There's no, I don't want to have a monolith containers here with both back and front and one. So I probably will create a new Docker file here. Yeah. Yeah, this is already done in the front end container, and when I'm deploying it, I like to deploy them separately. Okay, so that's the first thing probably we'll do. Again, we'll change this thing here. So this is again not production ready. So again, don't use tags, use hashes. Okay, so that will change that. What else do we have in here? All right, so that's good. So yeah, so let's change that. And this one here is what? Well, this one just runs the Python, even though they built both the front and the backend into one container, they just run the Python backend after, okay, with the backend only flag. So we can optimize this. We can just create backend only container or Dockerfile without npm and all the other additional stuff. Do they actually have one that's separate that doesn't have what is this one here? Yeah, this one also has the front and the back end. Okay. And this one, okay, so this one's slightly different, but it still has the front and the back end. What about this one here? This one, again, same. So there's no container here that is just back end. It's just the dev one here. All right, you know what? I'll just create my own container file here and just have one. So I'll put both of these things together and I'll just call it backend only. So let me just copy paste this one first. So yeah, so this one I'm gonna go underscore backend only, okay? All right, so this is gonna be our container to play in. So I'll just grab this from the end here, and this is gonna be our final command. Right, there we go. All right, let's start fixing this up, making this production ready. Okay, so first thing first, let's remove the front end stuff so we don't get confused. So this thing goes away. Don't need the source. All right, so yeah, so this goes away. Let me see. No, hold on. Build. Oh, they're building from the front end. Yeah, let's get rid of this. All right. Next thing, to be less confusing. This command goes away. Now we pass backend only flag in our Helm chart right now because we are using the big container, not the back only container, right? So I'm gonna just hard code this here to be backend only. And also we'll make it so we don't have to define these properties as command and arguments in our pod deployment when we deploy we'll make it a little bit, we'll probably fully bake this thing in a Docker file because some of these things don't have to change, well, except for the port, that's configurable. All right, you know what, let's start from the top. Right, and they have a note here that they're using an older version because of the Pydantic issues. Yeah, and we do see them when we start. So when we do 12.9 container, we do see that in the logs that there's a Pydantic issue. So that's just a warning for now. I'm just going to ignore that. Also, they don't use this optimization here because of Pydantic as well. So I'm going to trust them. I'm going to leave it the way it is right now. Okay, but first thing I want to do is put an arc here. That's going to be a builder image. Okay. At the same time, we can start doing the cloud build. So in this case, we'll have another step here. So step 3, build. Step 3. Oh my God. All right, let me just build backend. And for the backend, right, so I'm going to go and grab this. And here's where I like to provide the digest. So going back to Docker Hub, let's just go find this. Not this. I want to get this thing here. Okay. And let's see how these guys are special here. So let's remove just this part here. All right. Never heard of these guys. Don't know why they're using these specific containers as their base builder. Slash UV. Oh, these are coming from they're not in Docker Hub. They're going from a GitHub. Bloody hell! Let's just see where that is. So these guys, where's these guys? These guys are from this is a GitHub. Scrap the whole thing. Docker repo. So far, I have no trust because I never heard of this company. So let's see what these guys offer. All right. So what's this? Who are these guys? So they're having they claim to have nice UV container, base container. I still don't know who these guys are. And you always have to be cautious when it comes to base containers because, you can install all these different Linux packages into your container and, vulnerabilities, security issues, and even malicious software to siphon off data from a container. I don't know who these guys are. Where is this? Made by Astral. Who's Astral? Okay. All right. So, okay, I get a better picture now who these guys are. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to trust them for now, make some assumptions about these guys that they're okay, since we're using one of their other tools, which is Rough in VS Code, the linter for Python. So, all right. So going back to their repo, let's just have a peek at their containers here. You know what? Let's start by examining the main container here. Let's just go back to the code and see where are these containers here. Where are the containers? Where are the Docker files? Hold on, where's the Docker files? I don't want to spend time looking for these files here. We would use something like this here. Where's this? Where's this file? Okay, where's the Docker files? Well, all I want to do is just have a look at the. Okay, let's do a search for Docker files. All right, so this is the main one. Let's go to master on the main branch. Okay. All right, so this is, so they're using Ubuntu as the main, as the parent. What else do they have here? So there's not much here except for the UV stuff. Okay, so I guess it's a good for the builder image because you're going to be running UV install. All right, so I'm happy with this image. Now I do want to get better versions here. So if they're going from Git, they should have releases here. Let's look at the releases and grab one of the releases. Is what? Is it here or is it? Let's look at the packages here. 10.9 million downloads. Okay, that's a lot of downloads. Okay, so I guess people trust them. It's a lot of downloads. I do want to grab a hash from here. Where are the hashes here? Oh, there's the digest right here. So, and then it's okay, cool. So, wow. So let's go back to my cloud build, and here we're just going to do hash. Well, what is the name of the container? So we can. So this one is. Oh boy, where is this? The name of this thing here. It's going to be what, /UV only? So that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. I just grab this. Okay. Cool. All right. Trying to make things immutable. So it's going to be at. All right. So that's a build base image. You know what? For these, I'm going to actually have different substitutions here for these images. Yeah, so let's just do some substitutions here. So we're going to have substitutions for not. So here we can provide the names of the images. So in here, these images, this image here is defined by my Terraform script usually. And let me think. Yeah, let's do two different images. So image front end. Okay. You know what? I'm not going to define it here. I'm just going to just make that, do it here, and then image. So no substitution. The substitution is just going to be done by Terraform at the trigger level, so I don't need to do it here. Okay, so I can control the names in Terraform, and then I can just pass that to my Helm chart. So in this case, it's going to be front end and image backend. Oh, shit. Okay. And image front end is going to be here. So this is going to be image front end. I'm going to push the image front end here. And then for the back end, all right, and the only difference here, this is going to be the Docker. What the hell did I name it? It's going to be Docker backend only. Okay. All right. And then just do a push as well. So we'll have other steps in between for verifications and things like that, security checks, and maybe multi-architecture builds as well. So this is just a kind of vanilla build and push. Push the backend image. It's going to be push the front end image. Okay. This is going to be the backend. All right, so this is just going to basic vanilla build and push. All right, now we just have to add a little bit more here. All right, going back to here. So we're going to override it with the build args. Sweet. Okay, next thing is, so this is going to be our UV build. That's all it has, that UV installed. This is for your Python people. We don't want to use pip anymore, or poetry is still pretty good. In this project, they use UV. As you can see, there's a UV lock here. So they do UV sync, UV install. That's how they install the Python packages here. So that's our builder. What else do we have in here? Let's see comments. What's happening? All right. Move this to the side. We don't need this for now. All right. Okay. Moving on. Move this to the side as well. All right. We're ready to roll. We have our docs on one screen, and we have our code on the other screen. That's the way I like to have it. So I can just have a peek at the docs while I'm doing this. Okay. Sweet. All right. Yep, it's always nice to have a working dir. This is for the app. What else do we have in here? Compile back. Okay, let's have a look at, where's my doc? I'm just going to have a look at their container file and see if that's already defined in the base file or not. Where's my, I'm just going to go to code, look at the Docker file. Where's the Docker file? Yeah, it was in the root. All right. Just don't want to, duplicate or replicate stuff. No, it's not there. Okay, so they don't define it. So it's very kind of basic install of the UV, and that's all it is, just the UV install. There's no parameters, nothing. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, let's do one more arg for this. So this thing here is going to be, I'll just put it above that. Okay. This is going to be our, I don't say Python version. I want to put the whole container there. So a lot of times people just pass into the last part so they can control what version of Python is there, what the whatever tag or the digest. But in our case, I'm going to pass the whole thing because I also want to control the type of container that we're using. So because I might want to use Alpine, maybe instead of Ubuntu, just to make it smaller. So here I'm just going to call this not a Python version, but what I call them the other one. The hell did I call it? Did I just call it Nginx? Just want to keep the same naming convention. Oh, I just call it Nginx. Okay, fine. Let's call it Python image. All right, just to be consistent. Okay, it's going to be my Python image. Okay, all right. And Python image here. Always like to put our little braces here. More best practices. Okay. Now let's just have a look at this one here. So where's my containers here? So if I go back to, this one's from Docker Hub. So if I go back to Docker Hub and look at just the Python one. So they're using Slim. So I was testing with 3.12.9. So 3.10. So ideally, I want to use Python 3.13. This is where they fix a lot of the GIL issues, the global interrupt issues of multi-threading or just threading in general. But we know that most of the packages, or a lot of the packages, have been compiled for the latest version. Nobody is on 3.14 yet. That's just wishful thinking at this point. But 3.12, 3.13 is almost there. Now, that makes a huge difference in terms of your Kubernetes deployment or your container deployment in general, because you can give it less resources and it's going to be more efficient, right? Right now, Python is really bad when it comes to containerization because of, the multi-threading is, I would say, essentially broken with GIL, the global interpreter lock. And that's why using sync with Python is really bad. You want to use async servers like FastAPI. Because with that event loop, they kind of deal with this multi-threading issues. Multiprocessing is also is good in Python, but multiprocessing means using multiple CPUs, right? I mean, you don't want to run this simple fast API server across multiple CPUs. That just doesn't make sense. That's just dumb, right? And when it comes to just kind of vanilla Python and multi-threading, you have to give it more CPU. So you might have a container that can use a fraction of the CPU, but Python just doesn't know how to, efficiently use it, right? So when you define your, resources, your limits and requests for Kubernetes, you have to give it a lot more. You have to give it like a whole CPU, right? Because the threading model is calculated from the CPU. So point is that Python in general is not container aware. It doesn't know it's running on container, right? So if you're running on the VM, you just don't care, right? Because you give it a VM and it uses the whole CPU, right? But in Kubernetes, you use a fraction of the CPU. So Go works perfectly fine. Java still works fine. Rust works amazing as well. They're all container aware. TypeScript, not so much, but still does a good job. But Python is the worst runtime for Kubernetes, right? Period, right? I love Python. I like doing lots of data science in Python. But however, from deployment point of view, your infrastructure, your DevOps point of view, that's the worst runtime, right? So 3.13 fixes that in meaningful way. But you have to, the packages that we have in a UV, a lot of these packages that are coming from Project Toml here, these libraries, a lot of them are not compiled for 3.13 yet, right? So once you switch your, environment to run on, say 3.13, 3.14, so, see this requirement here? That's obviously a lie, right? So 3.14, I can probably guarantee none of these run on 3.14. We can just randomly pick a library and check in PyPy. So even though they set these limits really high, realistically speaking, it should be more like 3.12. That should be the limit, right? That's the more realistic thing. It's just a lot of people don't know that that's the issue, right? Anyways, point is that, let's just go back and choose a better image tag as a default and get a hash for it. So in our case, I'm testing on 3.12.9, which is sort of the last version of 3.12 that was released. And I want to use Alpine. Now, Alpine has a few issues because of the GCC that comes combined with it, right? So, you know what? Let's start with Bookworm. That's a safer choice. Bookworm Slim. So I'll go with this one here. So that's going to be my default tag. All right, actually, let me just grab this. Here, let's go to tags. All right, so this is my default tag. All right, so that's going to go into the default arg. Default arg here. Okay. What the hell? Emotional damage right there. Okay. So that's our default. Now for our build, again, I'm gonna use a hash. So if I go into the container here, I'm just gonna grab this digest here. Okay. That's what I'm gonna grab. Again, because we want immutability in our builds and predictability. So going back here, just gonna do another build arg. No code, that's not node image. Crap. All right, so this is going to be our, what's the name of it? Python image. And the it's Python at here, just like that. All right. Okay. I think we're good here. All right, so we have both of them covered. All right, going back here. So, all right. So the defaults are just that for your local build, and then for our production build, we're using digest, the hashes. All right, moving down the, let's move this to the side so I can see my docs. All right. Okay, let's separate this a bit so we can make it more readable. All right, so going down, so right now we have what? We don't need the whole, move the whole thing into app directory, right? The whole source, because, here, because we just need the backend. So, yeah, okay, I'll leave it like that for now. Okay, here. When you define env variables, especially when you're going to use Alpine, you want to be mindful of how many layers you're creating in your Docker. So let's just move this here, and you want to combine them on the same line, just for efficiency. All right, whatever, just move this here. And just call this, just set environment variables. All right. Now, we have a few more that we usually set for Python. Where's my doc? So I always like to set the Python bytecode as well. And just see if I can find all the different variables that we usually set. All right, so I got them. Okay, here. So I'm gonna grab them, put them here, and then we can decide if you're going to use them or not. So let's see if they're useful in this specific context for this builder. So the first one, compile bytecode. So that one was going to tell UV to compile Python files to bytecode. Okay. So this is going to improve the performance. So then you don't have to compile them on first run. So when you start the application, they're going to be pre-compiled, right? So that's good. So that's this one here. This one here is for Right, so you want to copy the files that was symbol. So by default, they create symlinks in Linux. So here we're just doing a hard copy. All right. So then the files are physically moved to a location. Okay. And what else? This one here, I usually add for what? What's the purpose of this one? This one was for, it prevents Python from writing the PHP bytecode files to disk when importing modules. That's my comment. The hell that I meant by that. Oh, okay. So this one, the first one here is for compile time, build time. And this one here, I'm adding it as a flag to prevent the runtime bytecode generation. All right, yeah, that's good. So that makes sense. Sometimes I have these cryptic comments that I can't remember what the hell I was this for. Okay, for that one, this is just to force Python to run on buffer mode, okay? So then things like log messages can appear in real time in your container logs. So that's nice. So you don't want to buffer stuff, okay? So this is nice for containerization, right? So you don't want to buffer. And for the last one, I added the pip, but I'm not going to use pip here. So is even pip used in here? This shouldn't be, right? There's no pip. You just use it. Okay, so I had this for in the other project when I was using pip. Now in this case, I'm not using pip anywhere. So this is just so it doesn't create a cache directory when it does the install. And just remove this. Okay, so that's good. So I'll leave it like that. So these are good. All right. What else? Let's read this. So in here, right. So we have additional things that are needed. The npm is not going to be needed because and GC. Now I do this usually for Alpine. The GCC it should be good for Ubuntu. And Git. What do I need to Git in here? Where's the Git for? Because I don't want to have Git in my container if I don't have to. It doesn't. Do I need Git? No. Why do I need Git? Okay, so Git is gone. So that's gone. And GCC again. GCC is something that we just do for Alpine because I want to use the GCC that comes with container. I don't want to have any compiler issues with the C compiler. So, and the build essentials, right? Do we need the build essentials as well? Usually add them. I'll keep it. You know what, let me add the certificates as well because a lot of times, you want to refresh the certificates just in case. So while I have this, let me just grab the certificates here as well. And just remove the comments here so it's more, I don't need the comments in here. What's your problem? Why are you complaining? Oh, alphanumeric. Sure, let's just be alphanumeric. Okay. All right. Now here's the first thing that we need to probably change here is how we deal with these versions, right? Well, A, B, A, B, C. Okay, sorry. I guess I don't know my alphabet. It must be the new alphabet. Okay. All right. So the usual problem here is that, again, these are not predictable. So every time you build this container, you might get different build essentials, right? So let's look up the build essentials for Ubuntu, for Bookworm. So Debian. So let's look up Debian packages. So Debian packages. Where's my little, okay, window here? All right. So you got to be mindful of the packages that are actually here being installed. So what I like to do is always go and do a little bit search here. So in this case, we're going to look at the build essentials. Build essentials. And what else do we have to do here? So this is for Bookworm. Okay, that's for the build. So Bookworm. So stable specification. Where's Bookworm? I want to define. search by content package. Well, let me just search. Usually comes up with at the top. You can select which one you want. Yeah, bookworm stable. Okay. Right. And I want to go for, where's bookworm at the top? Bookworm here. Right. So we found the package that we want, and what I like to do is always kind of pin the package, right, with the version. So this one is 12.9. So then I know when I rebuild this, I know it's going to be 12.9. So if there's a bug in 12.9, I can always change it, right? So, and you can see here, it's pretty much available for all different architectures, right? Okay. So in this case, I'm just going to give put this thing to the side. And we're going to pin versions here, okay? So you always want to pin versions in your thingy, 12.9, in your containers here, Dockerfiles. Same thing for this. So again, we're going after predictability. I know this is painful, but you know what? You know exactly what's happening here, right? When this runs, you know exactly which version. So for certificates, we are going to grab, oh boy. Right, so that's the version. For GCC, GCC version is what? All right, so this one is, all right, cool. All right, moving on. So I see the cleanest code, and then we remove the package. So that's all good stuff. Okay. Just put a little comment here for ourselves. We're just going to install the system dependencies, install project dependencies. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. So now the mount. For the mount, we might want to change some things here. So really, we just care about this command here, and to support this command. So do we need all these files here? Now, again, we're moving the whole, we're mapping the whole source directory here, but we don't need to. So I wonder if I can just change this to just the backend one, just to be more explicit. You know, let's do that. So the mounts are fine because we're mounting it directly from our root directory. So when we run this make file, the context for the Docker build is going to be the root directory. So then that's fine. So the only thing that is here. So all right, let's review the mounts first. First, to see if there's any issues here. So we have a cache here for build, for our packages, for the Python packages. There's a log file here. README. Do we care about the README? Don't care much for the README. We care the project. We need that one. Okay, and there's another one in here. Okay, right. So that's fine. Extra Postgres. Sure. Yeah, we need Postgres. Okay, so there's no issue there with the mounts. Yeah, I'll leave it the way it is. All right. All right, moving on. So what is next? Right. So I said, let's only copy the backend here. Okay. So let's just put some comments here. So in this case, let's just say, what is this? We're installing we're installing the project dependency. Cool. Good code completion there. Project dependencies. Let's call it system dependencies. No, let's go installing system dependencies. System. Okay. This is the project dependencies. Okay. So here, this is where things kind of we want to change here. So wait, working app against redefine here. We don't need to do that second time, right? And we need to just change this. So here, let's just say we're going to copy only the backend. So copy only the backend source code into the image. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do here. And for this one, we are trying to grab source.backend here, backend. Okay. And then we're going to put that into sure app.source. Sure, that's a root directory. All right. And where else? Next, we don't need the working directory anymore. We need to have two. Project Toml is, we have two of them, right? We have one at the root and one at the base here. So for our use case, we just want to get the root one here, okay? And also the root log. The read, I don't know what we need to readme. I mean, it's not, it's just gonna, I don't know what, let's remove the readme. So in this case, the readme is relevant. We just, we're running this in Kubernetes. So who really cares about the readme file at this point? So yeah. Okay. So no readme. All right, next, what else are we going to do? Next, we want to do, what is this mount for? Interesting, we're doing two. Why are we doing two in a row? We already have the Postgres one here. Why do we need two of them here? Why do they have two of them here? I don't know why. Let me look at the original image. So they have one here. They get the front end, they get the back end, and now they're running sync again. Oh, okay, I see. So you want to run the sync right after we move the project toml. I'd like to do it in one call, not two. Hey, let me leave it in two for now, and I'll examine that when it's building. So then we can maybe move this up and just have one UV sync, not two in a row. All right. All right. Let's see about that. So let's just install dependency log. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. No, I want to say install project dependencies with in non-editable mode. So because it's non-editable mode, in non-editable mode. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm happy with these changes. Next, let's look at the runtime. So let's move up the env here as the first thing. And then set the working app. So yeah, let's do this. So we have a little consistency here. So I'm going to, first I'll move this up. Okay. And this thing, I'm going to combine into one call. Oh, come on. That might be difficult. Okay. Then we're going to install these. And one thing that's missing is expose ports. So that's missing. And what else? Let's combine this again. Let's just make this into one. This is at the path front end. So what? Please executable environment at the front. Okay, yeah. So again, put this here. One call, not multiple calls. What else? I'm missing an entry point and I'm missing expose. So after the user, I want to put an expose here. So expose port. We'll probably make this configurable. And also in the other section, they had, which one I just deleted, this command, right? LangFlow run. Is that the entry point? Because they do override it after, so it's not an entry point. So they, right. So I could split up. No, you know what? I'm going to use Teeny. So, okay. So yeah, let's just do it differently than what they had. So yeah, let's leave it here. And one thing I'm going to install with the package here is, again, Teeny. So I'm out of here. We don't need Git again. It's just Teeny. So we're going to grab that. We're going to pin it in a second. All right, let's clean this up now. Okay. So right, so when we start, we want to set the working directory. So we set the working directory. Next, let's just set all the environment variables. Now in this case, we also want to set the Python bytecode. So let's just grab this here as well. So I'm gonna grab these two. So we don't want to have buffering, and we want to deal with compiled code as well. So, okay, sweet. Now this thing here, 00, the host. Not happy with that. Also the port. I like to provide the port or specify the port in my build args. So then I can also have a variable here. And the host, you know, a lot of times when you're running a container in a pod, those obviously have two networks, right? You have the local host for your container, and then you have the pod network, right? So 00 is going to be on the pod, but a lot of times you want to run in your local environment or on the local host, and then allow the service mesh to be there, right? So exposing just using 00, which is basically says, it's like a wildcard. It's usually not the best. So I want to make this configurable as well. Yeah, let's make it configurable. Okay, so these two things, we're going to make args, and then yeah, I'll just put some args in here. So so this one's going to be a LangFlow. Just call it port. I think just call it port. Just call it freaking port. And then they just said another arg, call it host. Okay. Copy virtual environments from the build list. Sure. No, what kind of, no. Set default. Holy shit, man. This code completion is going cray, man. What's happening? Default. All right. And what I'm going to do here is just set this one here. to host, and this one's going to be port. And in our cloud build, we're going to set those two variables here. Just default back. Okay, fine. I call it default. Okay. Now, these code completions are getting annoying because no, default backend host. All right. So those things we're going to configure during a build stage and also make them configurable when we actually deploy it with in Kubernetes. All right. Just want to give ourselves options to be able to deal with things a little bit better when we actually are in Kubernetes environment. Because the Docker disappears, right? We don't care about Dockers at that point or any containers. We're just thinking from pod point of view. All right, so that's good. Where else? So now, since we have this, I'm going to use the, oh my God, I missed, it's the reverse. Okay. And now what I can do is I can use the port here as a variable, just like that. Okay, and this one here, so this is not going to work like this. So it's not going to resolve the environment variable. So this is a lie. So we're going to have to change this in a second. Okay, but anyway, so same with the host. So the host is going to go here. All right, we're going to deal with this in a second. All right. We just want to have the ability to provide additional arguments here, right? So again, we'll probably throw this on the entry point in a second and then allow additional parameters to be set with in Kubernetes on your pod deployment. And that's the mental note. Okay, going back here. So we need to install a few things here. We really don't. The only thing that these guys were installing here was with Git. We don't care about Git right now in the container. Nobody's going to go and look at the Git stuff there. So the only thing I care about is actually Teeny, so I can manage the processes. So the zombie processes. Okay, so install system dependencies. And in this case, for Teeny, I'm going to go and look at the version for this specific version of Debian, which is Bookworm. Package is not coming up. Where is the okay, here. I think I found the stable version. So 19, okay. So we have a version again. So you want to pin a version here. Okay. So once we have Teeny, we're going to put an entry point here. And the executable is not like that. It's like that. So the idea here is that Teeny will be managing all the processes and deal with any zombie processes. Also help with any signals coming from the Linux environment, from Kubernetes, from Dockers, right, containers. What else do we have here? What do they have here? They had Python M, so they had this, and they had the run after. So I want to do it in such a way where the entry point is not overwritten, but the arguments are. So there's this image which I have in my Slack. When I was going over with the guys, what's the difference between entry point command and argument? So Kubernetes and Docker. I just got it from a nice blog. Guess I was ranting like crazy about this. just want to grab the image just to remind myself what is the actual combination, because that's something that usually we don't think about. Where the hell is my image? There we go. All right, let me just download this image. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger. Oh boy, okay. Not the best quality, but we can see that the command and arguments are mapped to entry point and command, right? So this is where we really need to pay attention and do it in such a way where we can actually add additional parameters. Okay. So was a better one, a better image I had somewhere? Oh, I did, yeah, okay. Let's what's this? That's a little bit better. Okay. Right. So you need to be mindful of the different combinations that can happen. So in our case, we have image entry point, image command. Okay. So I want to make it so we only want to add arguments. We don't want to override the main command. So I still want tini to be running. So in my case, what I like to do is like this. So it'll be tini and zubu. Okay. So in the pod, instead of providing command, I'm going to provide arguments, and then I'm going to leverage the entry point. So once you know this, then you can actually put more things into the entry point and then combine it with your pod arguments, and then just get the final results, right? So that's what we're going to go after here. Right. So we're going to override the foobar with the zubu, okay, parameters. So we can have a little bit of configuration in our pod definition. All right, let's see how we're going to do this. Let's move this to the side. Actually, let me just close this image. All right. Right, so we're going to use entry point. So the command, so this entry point runs when the container starts. But right after that, we're just going to pump arguments into it. So we're going to pass additional arguments, okay? And this is just going to override the command, the default command. So that's the idea here. So let's close this as well. All right, so we're going to divide this into multiple things. So I'm going to make this thing here my this full command here. Yeah, this thing here as an entry point. Let me think about this. What other parameters do we have? We have a lot of parameters actually. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the command and have an entry point like this. And then in the pod YAML, we can just basically add the arguments, which will append things to this thing here, right? I think that makes sense in my head right now, but I'm going to have to test this in a second. Okay. All right, because there's a lot more arguments that we have now. The backend only, it's hard codes this to always be, so that's not changeable. So yeah, you can only run it in the backend only mode, which is good. That's the whole person. Okay. I think that makes sense to me. All right, moving on. So what else are we going to do here? All right, yeah, let's look at okay, so the install here. Right, teeny, clean. Now what is this part here? So in here, we're defining the users, which we didn't do in the front end, which I'm going to have to go back and do this. So run this in an unprivileged mode, unprivileged for the front end. So we can pass in any UID and GID here because of the container here, the Nginx container, right? So here, this container here is the unprivileged, which means they don't have to give you the ability to specify the UID and the group ID, which is important for Kubernetes, your security context. But I went back and I used the Nginx user, right? Which has implications on your Kubernetes environment, your security context. Wait, I'll come back to this one in a second because I think I want to make this also configurable. So I don't want to specify the user here. Hold on, where is the... So they had a bit of an advice there for people in their Nginx. Yeah, here. So what's the deal here? These guys said, right. So when you build it with your UID and GID. Let's look at the main Docker file here. Okay, so this is what they use here. Well, I don't like that. That's just not good. Let me see if they actually use it for, we use this one, the Perl one. Okay. So they have a default user they added there. And that's how they run. Yeah, that's not good. So we need to be able to control this so then we can control it on our security context. So in our security context, so if I look at the running containers right now in Kubernetes, this is where you have to kind of pay attention to both your Kubernetes environments or any other environment, Docker containers. Security is the only thing that is not really encapsulated. So people always claim that containers are a nice way to encapsulate your environment, your system. However, there's a dependency on the user ID that's on the system host, right? So you're not, all the other stuff besides security, it's nicely separated from your host environment, right? So if you're running a container on your Mac, everything is separate except for the users. The users have to be they trickle up, they bubble up from your host. So that's something that causes lots of problems, especially when you start deploying in secure environments. So in our case, let me look at this. So for security context, what I did is, where's my security context? Let's have a look at the pod. YAML. So where is my context? Here. So this is for the front end. So for the front end, I'm using run as 1000, which is not good because it's not 1000. Okay. So I want to add these properties here. So then we know what the users are, and then we can specify. Well, we don't want to run as root, obviously, right? So we're not running as root, but we also want to provide the specific users they're running under. Now this also has implication on your nodes, Kubernetes nodes as well, because again they have to be validated at a node level, so host level. So in this case, 1000, ironically speaking, is actually my username in Google Cloud, right? So yeah, so there's a whole thing here when it comes to users. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I want to say that users are not well encapsulated in containers at all. And you have to be mindful what users are using. Because right now, if I check the logs on the Kubernetes node, because this GKE is deployed by me, or at least by the service account, but it's really, I initiated the process, but also I was the first user created in this Google Cloud as well. So then when it creates the Linux boxes for the VMs, it also uses, kind of installs or configures the etc password and host files automatically in the cloud, and the cloud users puts them in there. And it starts with 1000, right? That's like the default thing for Google Cloud, right? So 1000 is the first user. Well, that would be me. So then I'm running these containers under my username, right? So if I look at the logs, it says Patrick is running these containers, right? Which is not good. This is just something that is just not well handled in any cloud, Azure, AWS, Google. And it causes problems when it kind of starts defining the security context, because you want to have a security context. You want to limit the functionality and the security, of your containers within the pod as much as possible. So I'm dropping all capabilities here. These are Linux capabilities, so things that you can do in Linux. You always want to start with that, and then maybe allow the ones you really need. But your container should not need any Linux capabilities, right? So, for example, something like creating a socket, right, a port. You don't need that, right? And it's a security problem, because if you get into the container somehow, you can open a port to move the data outside, right? You can bypass the security protocols, right? So it's important to have the right security context, but also is kind of predicated, depends on having good users in your containers as well, right? So let's make these a build or configuration properties, which is going back to Nginx, and Nginx suggestion to use in their docs for this unprivileged version. Troubleshooting tips. Yes, I want to use a different user, right? So I'm going to add these two build args here. Okay. And I am not going to set the user as well. So going back here to the front end. So here, use user. I'm going to remove this. Okay. And then in the build args, we're going to add two different build args here to the front end. Do the same thing for the back end. Okay. In this case, I'm going to give different UIDs, GIDs. So yeah, chat. Let's fix this up quickly. All right, so now we can control the different users, and then these users can be passed down with Terraform into your Helm chart, so it's all configurable nicely, okay? And then these can be substitutions here. So, I'm going to do substitutions here through the Google Cloud Trigger. So we're going to substitute these things in here. So let's make these. So I'm going to make these variables that will be substituted by the trigger, which means we're going to have them as variables in a state, Terraform state, and we can output the state to other places, so then we can control our deployment. In this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call front end. What I'm calling is image. I'll just say front end. And this is going to be the backend UID. Oh, what am I doing? Somebody didn't wake up yet. Front end group ID. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, so that's good. Now we have to do the same thing for our backend now. So for the backend, so see, they're already assuming 1,000 here, and that's why I have in my deployment as well, user 1,000. Right, so we're creating a user here, and the group ID is 0, right? So I'm going to make this 1,000. Is it 0? Like, I don't remember why would you put 0 here? Is that like a default? Anyway, so I'm putting 1,000, 1,000 here. Now, what else? I'm going to just look at the user add quickly. Okay, so yeah, 0 is the root, man. So I don't want this to be part of a root group, man. I'm wearing this as, like, I don't know why would they have that here. Okay. Right, so we're running this as non-root. So yeah, we're changing this to 1,000. Now 1,000 is, again, it's something that is arbitrary, and also it causes problems in Google Cloud. At least if you're paying attention to it, it will cause some problems, right? You won't actually see it till you look at the logs. Like, it will still run. So I don't like to assign these kind of UIDs even uh, for anything. So uh, so if I'm running as non-user, I like to use something like 10,000, right? Um, right. So there's, when it comes to Linux, there's a range of important IDs, user IDs, which you can see, if you look at even on the Mac, right? It's still Linux Mac. So if you cut your etc password, let's pass it to columns. I forget the columns. I just dumped the file here. Okay. So there's quite a few of them here, but if you look at some of the initial ones here, the lower ones, like below, let's say 100, they're really used for like system stuff, right? You want to avoid using kind of the lower ones here. And then also once you get to the mid-range here to 1000s here, they're also, they have a purpose, right? So by convention, not real purpose, there's a convention they're following. So we want to use a range of IDs that actually is way, way higher for non-root users. So what's a good one here? I made comments to myself in my other Docker files, which one I should be using. I just don't recall why I chose these numbers. I'll have to remind myself. And also, obviously, my comments suck. Okay, we're going to do better comments here. All right. All right. Anyways, so let's define. First of all, let's go back here and define args. So build args. And if they don't, where's my? Okay, just remember that. So here we want to also add args here. Okay. So here we want to add the. Do we need to add it here? Hold on. Let me just double check here. So these guys already. No, they already have them defined. So it should be part of the base one. So I don't have to do it there. Okay. Right? Just double checking. Yeah, they're already defined here. Okay. Okay, cool. In the base image. All right, so ignore that. You know what? Just for fun. So, all right, so I'm not gonna add it here, but I will add it to the backend only here. So let's add some more args here. So args. Let's user ID. So yeah, user ID. All right, we're going to change the 1000 and group ID to something else. So here, we're going to make this configurable again. Again, this is going to be important when it comes to actually creating the Kubernetes security context on your pod, because you have to specify the user ID, right? So you want to have it. You don't. Yeah, it's hidden within the somewhere in your Docker file, not even visible. You don't know what it is. So you want to bubble this up, this information, and the best way to do it is with Terraform, obviously. I don't know if it's obvious, but Terraform state, and then use that state to inject it into your. Anyways, so that's that. Now, for these default values here, For the default value, let's just make this. What the hell did I use before? So a lot of people start with 1000. It seems like a good idea, but again, they're just not aware of all the the nuance that happens in the cloud and all the different issues you get with using these specific users user IDs. Yeah, I have nothing. My comments suck here. I said use 10,000 because that's the better one. I didn't actually say why is it better. I just said crap. All right. Okay. Well, what is user here? User. Yeah, you know, let's change this a bit. So yeah, let's do this. Let's optimize this part here. So I'm not happy with this. Okay, so this part is still good. So I'm just installing Tini. Clean is good. Now I'm going to separate adding the group and user ID into two separate calls, and then I want to give it names as well. So I'm going to give it. I'm just going to call it LangFlow, and then I'm going to come back to the user ID specifically because I just want to have names, right? I don't want to go based on ID. And in this case, do they? Yeah, they don't give it a name, do they? There's no name. Okay, so let's do this. So let's divide into two separate calls. So to make this, yeah, not user. Yeah, they say call it user here. I'm just not going to call it user. I'm going to call it LangFlow, just to be more explicit. Yeah, let's do it like that. All right. So add group, like so. Call this LangFlow, and let's divide the add user into two calls as well. So this one's going to be what? Let me see. Let me see. Look at this code completion here. Add. No, it's user add, man. This is it's a long Linux version, bro. Okay. Let's just use user add. Okay, let's just change this. So just change the bottom one here. All right. So in this case, we have user add LangFlow UID. Let's be explicit here. UID and GID. Okay. Let me just double check the command because a lot of times there's two different versions for different Linuxes. Right. Let me look at the man pages here quickly. Man. Oh no, it's the same. Okay. Yeah. So it's yeah, it's double. Okay. So it's a bit different in this Linux version. Okay. Than the Mac version. All right. So we're good. So that's that. What else? We don't want to create the home. No create home. Is that the one here for this one? We don't care about the home for this user home directory. Yeah, no user. No, we want the user group. Where's no create home? Is that the right one? Is that the right switch? Double check. No. No, it's not. What? There is no create home on this command. Am I going crazy here? Why would they have it here? So this is the user add. There's no command to not to create home. You can force it to create home, but there's no where to get that switch from. Is the Debian version different? Say Ubuntu. User add. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me look at these man pages here. Oh, it is. Damn it. So Ubuntu has it. Okay. All right, let me keep this on the screen. Damn it. Damn it. All right, so Ubuntu does have this specific switch. Okay. You win this time, Ubuntu. All right. I see some comments coming in. Let's ignore those comments for now. Okay, so for Ubuntu, I'm going to keep that. All right, and call this LangFlow, right? So we're calling this LangFlow user. All right, we're good. And as a final thing, let's also change the ownership of all the files in where's first of all, let me change this to LangFlow so we have a name for this user, not just called user. Okay. Let's make this the default here. Let me see. Well, I do want to change the ownership of multiple things here. Now, we have multiple. We have home dir here, right? So that we're doing setting the app data. This is where we're going to have the SQL, SQLite and all that stuff, and all Postgres things, or Alembic, schema manager. So once we do that, when you run this command, will it create it automatically for you? Let me look at this Ubuntu thing again here. Where's the home dir? So I don't think it creates a directory for you. It just it says home dir. Okay, so this is important. So it says home dir does not have to exist, but will not be created if missing. Okay, will not be created if missing. So let's create it, man. Holy crap, man. So, all right, let's see what we have here. Boom. Just say and before I change the ownership, let's create it. Make dir. Okay, and then I can change the ownership. Okay, cool. That makes more sense. All right. So you do want to create it because it doesn't seem to be, because we set the working directory here, but we didn't set the data yet. So we're just creating it here. All right. So I'm happy with that. Where else? What's the next thing that we need to fix? Anyways, so we have a name for group. We have a name for the user. We have group IDs. That's good. Oh yeah, the group IDs here, the 10,000. Okay, so yeah, let's have a look at that first. And then change ownership here. Yeah, let's change this to. Let's use the user ID and the group ID. So in group ID, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's look at these user IDs and group IDs from a Linux security point of view, right? So specifically in the Linux security point of view. So at the same time, let me add them to my build. So I have them as well. Yeah, so they have UID here, but let's call them the same. So just for consistency, I'm gonna make these UID and GID for consistency. And let's be consistent here as well. So this is gonna be UID. All right, that's a little more consistent. So then in a build file, we can have this here as well. All right. Now, going back to this issue about numbers, UIDs, which ones are good, which ones are bad? All right, so first of all, I don't want this to overlap with my users, obviously. So when I'm building this, I'm going to increase this. But as a sensible default, let's start with 10,000, okay? So I'm going to use a really high UID just to avoid collision. So instead of 0, I'm going to put 10,000 here, okay? So this is going to avoid any collisions with any kind of users that people already created. Because usually the reason the 1000 standard is good is because that's what people start with, right? But you don't want to have collision with any kind of users already defined, okay? So I'm going to bump this up to 10,000. Right. OpenShift is a bit different than Kubernetes. OpenShift, you can actually do randomized UIDs, right? So anyways, we're not using OpenShift here. All right, so this is running us. I'm happy with this. Okay, so 10,000 is high enough to avoid any collision, and then anyways, this is sensible default. For us, I'm still gonna pass that in as a value here, which I need to change to backend. Backend, and this is backend. So we'll pass this in, and then save it in a Terraform state. All right. Moving on. Okay, next thing here. So that's that. All right, let's look at this piece of code here. So we're moving this from the builder. It's named builder. Do we change the name? Okay, still builder. Okay. So we copy over all the libraries here to a hidden directory here. And we change the ownership of the files. That's good. Anything to do here? Anyway, so just put some comments here. So we're getting the virtual environment from the build stage, sure. Here we're just adding some metadata. Now this thing here, this doesn't look good. This seems off. Completely off. So I do want to have the ability to add more parameters. Than we have right now. So yeah, this is a bit of a problem. Just because I want to be able to define additional parameters in my container. So right now, if I look at my deployment, so in the values channel, we have what? So this is the command we're running, okay? So yeah, so that's a bit of a problem. I don't want, if I specify this command, it's just gonna mess up the entry point. Okay, so going back to this image, we have the command Kubernetes. So I'm specifying the container command here. So it's just going to override my entry point here. And I want the entry point to be there because I want the Tini to manage my processes within the container. So I really need to, well, I did provide the ability to specify args as well. So I want to move this to the args, but these comment things here they're just comment, right? So back only, the host is all defined here and running. So these are all good. So they can be put actually in the entry point to always run them. Okay, you should always be able to run some of these commands. Yeah, so it's going to look silly from container point of view. So if you're running this in Docker Compose or just running container, it's going to be silly. But for Kubernetes, we want to have a little more flexibility here. So also, we want to have we don't want the Kubernetes people to override sensible defaults because they might not know, right? Your DevOps person might not know what is the application requirements or how is the application defined. So I think I don't want to do this one here, the last one, when we have our own container command and arguments, and then we just create our own command to run, because that's a bit of a problem, because that means you will completely override the entry point, which is already defined to be, Tini to manage that. So I think this is the only sensible option for us here. So the command can be overwritten, but the entry point shouldn't be, right? So we should only specify the arguments, okay? Now, obviously, since you're deploying this with your Kubernetes, you can just override it completely, right? But I can just leave a message here for, DevOps guys saying, hey guys, we're managing the zombie processes, so init processings with Tini, and then don't override it. Don't specify container command, just specify the arguments, right? So that's the communication between both of you guys, your container developers and your Kubernetes admin, your DevOps there. It is a bit flaky, but Kubernetes has to be supreme, because you need to be able to override everything that's in the container on Kubernetes side, because they're responsible for deploying the container, right? So the container developers have to understand that there's only sensible defaults you're putting in, and they most likely will not be respected, right? Because of production issues. It's things like security context, things like the container command, container arguments, they'll be changed, and you can't do anything about it, right? As a container developer, okay? That's why it's nice to create sensible defaults. Anyways, so yeah, let's see how we can fiddle with this to create something sensible. Right. So with this in mind, that's our command. So I'm going to ignore this. Well, ignore this. I'm going to go back and change the Terraform code here. And when it comes to our container now, we're going to do something funny. That's going to look funny to the Docker Compose people or Docker people. But if you understand this is for Kubernetes, then what the hell I put this here? Then it might be a little bit more palatable. Okay. So let's see, what can we do here? So let's see if we can manage this a little bit differently. Okay, so the way out of this pickle is to kind of create entry script. Okay, So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create a Docker entry script. I'm just gonna call it entry point, entry point.sh. And what we can do here is then here divide this into two things. So we can make this a command that's overridable. Command cmd. All right. And then we can run the entry point here. Okay, let's copy it over from, should we combine it? Let's combine it into one more command here. So in here, let's add, well, let's do a copy first. What I'm doing, let's just copy it first, right? So here, so let's copy the script. So we're going to copy the that entry point. No, this is actually from Docker. Yeah, Docker slash. That's that entry point. To entry point. Okay. So we're going to copy the entry point. And then here we're just going to make the entry point script executable. All right, sweet. Okay. So that's that. Now, so yeah, okay, I like this. Yeah, let's do this. So here is going to keep we're going to use Teeny as entry point to ensure Sigma passed correctly. Sure. And this is just kind of our, it's going to have base command that's overridable. So let's make, yeah, so we'll make this a base command. Okay. And we're going to make these arguments in the entry point script. Okay. So I'm putting the comment here. These are overridable. Overridden. Sorry, overridden in Kubernetes. All right, just a tip for anybody that's looking at this. Now, so the way I want to structure this part here, this is going to go in the script, and we're going to make these just the arguments here. You know what? And also the backend only, I'm going to actually move it as well to the script. So let's just put this in the script, okay? Anyway, so it's going to be like this. And for the script, let's write a new script. Should we use bash or sh? So sh is better to use because then we don't know if a bash is installed, but also it's like the default shell. So let's use so the shebang. Let's use the shebang for for sh. Nope, that's not the right code completion. That's from the other script. All right, so in this case, you should make it really simple. So we want to have a start command with the Python run command. So we're just going to make this. Let's make this. What I'm going to do is I'll make this. Let's make it the same as the other one. So this is going to be our command. It's going to equal to what we had there. So Python, what was it? Python, let's grab it from the other script. So here, so we're just going to grab this part here, run. Okay. That's going to be our command. Not like that. It's going to be a single command. All right. Sweet. All right, so that's our starting point now. I also want to add the backend only here flag as well, because I said I want to keep this saying. So this is going to be hard coded on the main command. So here as well. Okay, cool. All right, and now let's add the. Let's check for. We can check for if the command exists, if it should exist, and then if it does exist, we want to append the the other parts of the command and combine into one, right? So let's do if. Again, this is we have to be mindful. This is not bash. I'm thinking bash again. So greater than 0, right? So we're going to check if we have something there as the command, which is the command coming from the Docker file. Now I want to combine them into both, right? So we're going to do command equals to command this command $sign command, and then combine it like this. Okay, so then we're combining it and then execute command. Okay, so that's our vanilla script. So now we have our main command here. That's part of the entry script. So now this executes it, and this is just an addition, which means this addition can be added in Kubernetes with the args, not the command. Okay, so now this is going to be controlled with the args. So looking at the image here again, it's going to make it a little bit more manageable for us to deal with these issues. So we have this part. Okay, so we define this, but the command is overridable. We're going to provide new command with arguments, right? So the command will be the args, right? So the command in the image is the args in the pod container definition. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, so I'm happy with this. Now, as I recall, there's a problem with resolving these environment variables in this type of syntax, right? So I'm gonna build this right now and see if it crashes here, because as I recall, the Docker file doesn't do a good job, or doesn't know how to resolve these environment variables just within the this type of a JSON style command. I like how it looks, but I think it's not going to work. But let me test it first. Let's just put some comments here. All right. Let's make some comments here. So this is run the command pass to what? Run the command pass as what? No, the hell. Holy crap! This code completion is not good. Let's say start. Let's just make this start. Start with the base command. With the base command. This is our base command to run LangFlow backend. Okay, or just LangFlow. Oh yeah, backend only. And in here, what's the thing I'm going to do here? Add the additional argument from the entry point. No, not entry point. Holy crap, man! This code completion sucks. Add any arguments passed to the script, not entry point, to this script. Huh? And in here, just execute the final command. So execute the command. Okay, sweet. Let's double check if any if this is shell sh shell compliant. I have a tendency to use bash syntax by default. No, that's good. I don't see any issues. Yes, cool. All right, going back here. I think we're good. We could just collapse this into one command, I suppose, right? Like this can be just one statement here, right? Just yeah, you know what? I want to avoid string interpolation here with this thing here. So I'm going to simplify this into one line. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? All right, you know what? Let's scrap this whole thing. So let's execute this. Okay, and we're just going to pass this at the end. Just like that. That makes it a little bit easier. Oh, just put this in quotes. Which one is better? This one or this one? You know what? I like this more verbose version so people know what's happening here. They might not get. All right, you know what? Let's just do this. What we had before. I don't need to simplify it that much. So this is just going to be back to this command here. Okay. Anyways. All right. Let's see if we can build this. And what else? Yeah. So I'm going to go and update the make command since I'm using build X, the Docker build kit. So, and I created 2 commands already to build the front end, which is the same thing for the back end. Where's my commands? There's the back end. Where's the build? Here. Okay. Oh, also, I don't see them using phony on the same line, do they? Hold on, where is it? Oh, they just put it right at the top. Yeah. All right, I'll just use my version here for now. Okay, so I'm going to get these 2 things here. And just made them build X backend image. Build the backend image. Okay, this is going to be build the frontend image. All right. Now this is going to be a different Docker file, so I'm going to create another one. So instead of having this backend, I'm just going to say backend only. All right. All right, so this is going to be our version of backend only. And I'm going to change the name for the image as well. So this is just says front end. I'm going to call this backend. Backend, okay? All right. All right, let's see if this, let's see if the make is good. If there's any problems with the make. Make backend, okay, so let's just build the backend ARM version just for myself. See how it is. See if there's any errors. Okay, let's see what happens here. What is this? Light LM downloaded, failed to build. Why? Because of what? Oh, README file does not exist. Let me have a look at this. And PyPy, where's PyPy? PyPy. What's happening here? Why are you complaining? And this is version 1.1611. Just double check what version we have here. See if we need to bump it up. You know, I do want to bump this up, but I see there's a migration here. So this is important. Since version 1, they're using a new version of OpenAI. All right, fine. Don't care. Okay, you know what? Let's bump this up while we're here. So 3.11. Okay, so I just want to bump this up first, and then I'll see what the error, the issue is here. All right. What are you? Which one is this? This is cross tool. What's wrong? Why is it crashing now? Interesting. That I'm getting these errors. You know, let me see why is this happening. Because of the strict build, isn't it? Right? No one's slow enough. All right. Should we relax this a bit though? I don't want to deal with all these error issues here. Yeah. Okay. Right. So they want the README, right? So I guess that's why they were adding it. The README here on their here, right, on the control on the not here. Sorry. On the mounts, where's the mount? Oh, that's the front end. Let's close the front end. So the back end, close this as well. Just clean this up a bit so I don't get confused with myself. Hey, go close, 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 close. Okay. So they added it here, and now they're checking for it. So you can see there's the OS README file does not exist error. But okay. Yeah, let me add it back, and then I'll massage it a little bit later, I guess. So yeah, let me grab it from the previous one. So I don't want to deal with these issues here. These are issues I like to avoid. So let me just grab this here. All right. Let it build, and let's talk about this. Oh boy. All right, let's see. Okay, so that one was okay. Now, what is your problem now? No such file directory. Okay, so let's see if the directories are okay here, if they're good. So first with the README file. So the project TOML, I'm assuming, has a requirement here to include the README file. Right. Okay. So that's what the error message is. Sure. Okay, fine. Let's keep it there. Don't care about that part. It's a minor issue. Now, yeah, I'm not going to change the TOML file. It's just, that's what it is. Okay, fine. So I'm not going to create any workaround. So the README file is there. I've got copied. Sure. Okay. All right, so let's ignore that issue. I guess it's good to have it for open source projects, so you force people to put the README file. All right, now the second issue is now this here. Right, it's complaining about source, backend, base. Source, so we copy it here. Just because the way it's copied is a bit of an issue. Because the backend goes into here, and then it's looking for, okay. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Let me see. So let's adjust the paths at the top. Where's the paths here? All right, let's adjust these paths, okay? Oh boy. Let's see. Right, so I'll just copy source to source, right? And then the backend is there. Yeah, that's fine. I don't need to limit to the backend because I'm already doing this here. So let's run this. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Just we have to be able to justify to ourselves why things are happening, right? What is the problem? What's the issue? All right. Sweet. So now we're getting past that issue. Where's my mouse? Okay. Now let's see. Now we have another issue again. The same issue as before with OS README does not exist. Did they actually? Let me look at the previous one. Did they also have it here as well? Oh, they copied the README. Am I copying the README here? Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. Let's put the README in there everywhere. You know what I want to do is I'm going to run both of the containers and let them talk to each other. So let me stop the debug here, so we can just verify that that thing is running. I'm not going to run Docker compose or anything like that. Just execute both containers from just with the Docker run command. And if they're good, then we're good for this session, and we can just start fixing up our CI/CD triggers. Now this is taking a while. 30 seconds, full copy. Damn. Okay, we'll have a look at this, see if we can improve performance quickly as well. Yeah, I still want to test this here in a second. Okay, so we have our Docker images. Let me see, Docker images. Let me see. So we should have two of them. So yeah, so back end and front end. Okay. So, one thing I didn't do is we didn't add a health check to our backend, right? We do have a health check endpoint, so it's nice to always have a health check. Now I removed the one from the front end because there's just no value in it. But in the backend, from Kubernetes point of view, we already have the liveness probe, so we just don't care, right? But from a container point of view, you always want to have good hygienic containers. Docker Compose will also appreciate if you have a health check. Let me run this. If it works fine, then I'll just go and add the health check. Anyway, so let's run this backend. Now I do want to run it with, I want to map that env file. So because I don't want to specify each environment variable, whatever, one by one on the Docker run command. So let's mount this into, how are we going to do this? So I'm going to mount this env file here into our container. Let's do it. Okay. All right. So first things first. Let's do a Docker run for this thing here. Should we just write a little script? Let me do a little script here because yeah, I want to execute both at the same time. So before I do the script, let's just run the front end as well, because I changed that one a bit. Front end. Let's rebuild that. Now, while this is rebuilding, let me look at the build log from the other one here. This one. Yes, this is the backend. Let me see what was so slow in here. Let's look at this output here. So what was the slowest part of this build? Right. So this took a minute. What is this? That's not. We don't care about that part. Right. Just installing the Python packages takes a while. But I guess if you cache it, the next build's going to be much faster. Okay. All right. It's not bad. It's still pretty fast in terms of build. Yeah, it takes a minute. So the other one takes like 5 seconds. This one takes a minute. So it's going to be much faster, obviously, with the cache. Okay. It's not that bad. There's lots of packages to install for Python. So, yeah. All right. We're good. Yeah, this one is just completely fast, 50 seconds. So anyways, they're not crazy times. So when we have to rebuild it with Cloud Build, it'll be pretty fast. Okay, now, so what I want to do is I want to do like a script here, test script to run both at the same time. So I don't have to deploy Docker Compose, because they have a Docker Compose in here. I don't want to run Docker Compose right now. Do I? No. Actually, wait, maybe. No, I don't. Let me just do a simple, stupid, dumb bash script with just 2 Docker run commands. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so Docker, I'll just put it here. Basic test. All right. I'll make this a bash command. Sorry, a bash script. So in here, let me just grab the other command that we had here. So yeah, this one here. So this is when we execute the front end. All right. All right. Cool. Okay. So before the front end, we're going to execute the back end. All right. All right, so this is a little test script. Let's put some comments here. It's just a smoke test, front end and back end. Okay. So we want to first run the back end. So run back end container, and then sure, whatever. We're going to fix this command in a second. Then we're just going to run the front end container. All right. That's just like a really basic smoke test. So we can just reproduce it multiple times. Now, let me see what we're going to do here. Look at the Docker images first. See if the Docker images are. All right, front end, back end, back. Okay, and the same tag. Okay, and this is taken from the toml file, so it's going to be the same for both. Cool. So we can leave that. Do we need to create a variable? I don't want to create variables. I don't want this to be like a crazy script. Boy, you know, let's do it properly so we can just reuse it. All right, we have a set e. I'll just make this cut out that doesn't error. Let's create backend URL. No, backend. Let's do a backend port, front end port, and then just do the image names, and that's it. Okay, yeah. So backend port, front end port, backend. Backend image. Yep, and front image. Okay, cool. So let's leave it at that. So these are our basic properties here, so we can easily change them. Now, next, I'm not going to add any checks for these things. Again, it's just a vanilla script. Now, we're running them one after the other, and they need to be on the same network, right? Because we need to pass in the backend URL here. So I guess first thing we got to do is to create the network, right? So then we can put them on the same network. So do we need to delete the network? Do we need to do a cleanup script? I don't want to do anything fancy here. All right, let me just create the network, and then I'll delete it all at the end somehow. So just give a network name. Network name. It was there, man. Network. Whatever name. All right. So this is supposed to be faster than freaking Docker Compose. Maybe not. Anyways, Docker name. So let's just create the network. All right. So we have a network now. Let's execute the backend on the network. You know, we'll make it reproducible later. Let's just run it. Obviously, if I run this multiple times, it's just gonna crash on me. But right now, so I'll do checks and delete the network after. So right now, let's just do again vanilla. Let's make it work. Then make it pretty after. So for the Docker run, I want to add what? I want to add the network name. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. So let's just do Docker run. I'll just put it here, and then let's make it format it nicely. Network name here. Where else? Then we want to put the ports. No, don't finish that. All right, there's my port. I'm not gonna have this here anymore. All right, support. Okay, cool. Backend. Let's get the backend port in here. All right. Now let's actually give this a name, so we can just delete it by name. So let's call this name LangFlow back. Okay, cool. Port. Now the last thing is we want to give it what? But the port is a variable, so at least let's. But that's already by default set to. Okay, whatever. So I'm not going to change the port right now. What I want to do is last thing is really put the image in here, right? I need the image, so backend image. Okay, all right. So that's that. Now, so that's the easy. Well, we also have to include the env volume in a second, so I'll get to that. Now for this one here, let's format it the same way, so you can see it. All right. All right, sure. Let's do that. Okay, so we have port image. Now we need some more variables here. So now the backend variable is here. And you want to let me do the debug as well, because I want to see the conf file. All right, so that's gone. All right, now let's just fix the backend URL. So now in here, since it's running on the same network, now it will. We can reference it by name, right? Because when you deploy a container on the network, it will use the name as its reference, as its DNS reference name, whatever I'm trying to say, domain name. So I can put the name here, a LangFlow backend. You know what? For purposes of URLs, let's make this dash, not underscore. So the URLs get happy. So in here, we're going to go backend dash. Okay. And then the port is just a port here, backend port. All right, cool. All right, so that kind of wires both of these containers together for the one single deployment. Now, what else? What's it? So that's like a basic deployment. And for the front end port, yeah, no, the front end port is incorrect. So because the front end is 80, no, hold on. So there's one for the internal port and the one for the external. Because yeah, let's do this. 8080 is the port, right? And here, well, anyways, whatever. Just to keep it consistent. Okay, so that's good. All right, let me run this, and then it definitely is gonna crash, and we can go back and change this. You know what? Let me disable, like what I had here, disable the IP6 just in case. Oh, what the hell just happened here? So just in case, yeah. We just want IP4, and same thing here. Now this, I'm just adding this as a way to stop any Nginx issues here, because it's not going to resolve IP6 correctly. Anyway, so yeah. Anyways, that's it for that. Yeah. Okay. Well, we should probably put a little sleep between both of these things here, so it gives a chance to deploy it. So let me put a little sleep here. Sleep 5 seconds, whatever. All right, let's run this. So this is in change mode. Let's make it executable. This is in Docker. Sorry, Docker / what do they call it? Smoke test or something? Or basic test. All right, let's run this. All right, let's see what happens here. So Docker PS, let's see if they're running. What do we have here? Okay. All right, cool. So let's examine, look at some of the logs here. Where is the other container? Oh, Mr. Backend didn't like what happened. Okay, let's see what's happening with the backend. Oh, okay. Must be a valid integer. Okay, so there you go. So like that. So I was wondering about this thing here, because this usually cacks out on people. Yeah. So let me see. Let me see if I give a second chance. If I do this, make this a variable. Yeah, it's just already complaining, right? Right. So you can't have it both ways. So if I put this in quotes, then it's just going to be another integer. Okay. So you know what? What we can do here is just do this. Crap. The code completion is annoying. Right. So it's just not pretty, but at least this should resolve to an integer and should work. Okay, so let me double check this. Okay, let's build this again. So make build backend. Right. Let me see. What is the problem? All right, I should probably wrap this whole thing in one long string, probably. That's what I'm thinking right now. I think. Still not complaining. Let's see if it builds. All right, it built it. Okay, let's run the script again. Right. This is going to do a little bit of a cleanup now in the script, so we can delete it, so we can rerun it. Where's my script? So we'll just do a couple if statements here and delete it. All right. Right. I'm not happy about this because this is always a problem when it comes to commands. You know what? Let's move this to the script, man, because this is always going to cause problems. So I'd rather have this in the script. And yeah, let's do that. Okay, so it's not elegant, but you know what? Like this. And then the environment variables is much easier to deal with in the entry point script. Where's the script? Script. Where are you? So here, we can just update this script here to, yeah, be better. All right, so you know what? Let's check if they exist first. And if they exist, we are going to just add them to at the end of here. Okay. So, boy, or should I just add them here? You know what? I should probably just add them to the main command first. You know, let's just add it here. Port. No, it's going to be yeah, just like that, without the thingy here. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit better because there exists as environment variables now. I don't have to deal with them in the other script then. So, yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, I mean, maybe we should do some checks in here just in case, because we do want the port and we do want the host here. So, you know what? Let's just check if they exist. Just do a couple if statements here, a little bit defensive coding, and then pass them in. Yeah, why not? And maybe add a trap here as well, as I did in the front end as well. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's just make it a little more professional since we are already here. So here, let's check if they exist. So if z, yeah, I don't want to set the defaults here. Should we set the defaults? You know what? Let me put an error warning first. So echo, no, just make this warning. So warning, if I can spell warning. All right, so yes, let's do that. And then do the same thing for if length for port, yeah, do warning. Sure, okay. So you get a little feedback. And then, you know what, let's dump the command at the end. You know what, yeah, let's dump the command at the end here so I can see what the command is. So it's going to be really useful for Kubernetes. So you can see the full command. So let's just do, let's just dump this whole thing, echo executing command, sure. So let's do that. And then what else? And I do want to maybe put a trap in here. But that's already handled by TNE, so that's fine. Anyways, I'll leave it like that. I think that's much better. It's more versatile. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Let's build this again. All right. All right. Now let's clean up the script here a bit. So that's probably the last thing. Since is it lunchtime already? Oh, it's lunchtime. Damn it. All right. So let's make this script a little bit more fancy quickly for testing purposes, and then yeah, let's do that. All right. While this is building, let's just fix up the script so we can reuse it. All right. Let me grab some. I don't want to have colors, but screw colors. I don't want to have colors, but let's do. Yeah, we're going for Watson. Okay, just wait. Just wait. Okay, wait. All right. First of all, let's check if the network exists before we create it. So that's the first thing. So if what am I gonna do here? Let's inspect it, right? So let's do a Docker. What's the Docker inspect command? Inspect. Sorry, network inspect. So we're going to network inspect. Inspect. Let me do a network ls first. All right, network. Inspect. And then we want to grab the LangFlow one here. All right. So if that returns something, we can, yeah, so let's do that. So, all right. So quick if statement. So if not, yeah, just like that. Okay. All right. Sure. Cool. So we just do a quick create if it exists. If it doesn't exist, now the next thing is let's check if the backend exists and stop it, and then remove it so we can get a clean build each time. So create network, run backend. So here. So before we run it, let's do if PS script. No, not PS script. I want to do format name. So I want to do Docker PS, PSA, but I want to format. I want to format based on names, so I can grab the name. So just give me the names. So what's it? Double is the mustaches, right? Mustache. I want to get the names. Dash A. What? Docker. What? Docker. What the hell am I? Am I going crazy? And dash A. Oh, dash format. Sorry. All right. So we have that. Cool. Let's grab this. So we can get some quick names here. Oh yeah. Here, just names, and then we can grab for LangFlow backend. Cool. All right. Sweet. And the name here is actually coming from here. Yeah, yeah, I didn't make the variable name. Okay, cool. Doesn't matter. All right. So in here, we are going to stop it first, and let's do an echo. So echo E or echo. We just say stopping, stopping container, stopping backend container back. And here we're just going to Docker stop. Docker stop. Let's pump this to null because we don't care about this. So pump this to dash def null true. And then we're going to do the same thing for remove. So we're stopping it, we're removing it, and then we're running it. Okay. Where else? Let's do the same thing for the front end. So just do it all. Yeah, let's do it at the bottom here, whatever. All right. Before we run the front end, let's just delete it. All right, that's good. Did it finish building? All right, we're good. We build it. Okay. Anything else that we need for the script to clean up? No, we're good. Should we expose the backend? No, it's already exposed. It's exposed as yeah. Okay. All right, let's run this and see what happens. Okay. Right. Did it not work? The remove backend. Where's the name? So here. What is this container name here? Container name. Hold on, is this working? Yeah, but without this, so this is quiet. What the hell? PS Docker, blah, blah, blah. What the hell did I mess up? Did I mess up the container? No. What about the network? The network is fine. Created once. What the hell? What the hell? Hold on, let me run this again. What is the error? Just the container name? What about all the other stuff? Let me run this with X for debugging quickly. God damn it. It's supposed to be simple. All right. So it. Oh, the grep is not working. What? If I make this silent, there's no error here. That should be fine. Oh boy. So do you want to make this silent? All right. All right. The brain is dying here. How can I change this? Did I want it to kill? No, that was suggested by VS Code, man. So when you do grep, oh wait, not sorry, it's not the not. That should be okay. All right, no, this is fine. This should be if it's god damn it. If there's an error. Jeebus. Come on, why is this? Just delete this. Damn it. This thing gets so stupid sometimes. Okay. Command not found. Did I mess up the Docker command? Docker stop. Alright. It looks like I gotta finish soon because the brain is dying here. The Docker. The stop is not working. Docker stopping command. Where is it? Each. Did I put each? I'll put echo. God damn it. Yeah, brain is definitely dying. There should be echo, not each. Okay. Did I put each for all of them? I put each. Okay. All right. That should be echo, not each. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's see if this runs now. All right, let's see if we have the continuous running. Still running after a few seconds, nothing dying. Give it one more second. Oh, I see the thing popped up. My little container popped up. All right. Health checks are dying. Let me see. Let's refresh this. Let's clear this. So I'm running it from port. What? Wait, hold on. That's the port. Let me just double check. Where is port? No, it's 8080 now. God damn it. Okay. Port 8080. Okay, there we go. So it is executing the front end. What about the back end? The back end is coming from here, from the config, right? Yeah. So that's the back end. Okay, cool. So it's working. All right. Let's see. Let's do a simple agent. Save. Okay. So this is running directly off the containers. So I think we're good. We're good to push this to our Git and allow the Google build to pick up any changes once we commit changes. Okay. Let's double check the container logs. Crap. Clear here. Let's grab all the logs. So first of all, the front end logs. Let's see what's happening there. All right, cool. It's based on, and there's my debug. Okay. All right, so that container is good. Let's look at the other one. The backend. All right. Oh yeah, shit. I forgot this. We gotta fix this. Yeah, that's my major pet peeve. So this kind of sucks. As you can see, this log output here. I don't know what the hell they did, but this is how they squeeze this, and this looks awful in Kubernetes, right? So you can see it's all right. So before I commit these changes, I'm gonna go and fix this freaking log because it's just annoying. Like, who does this, right? So it's just a little column, and then some of the stuff, depending where it's coming from, it's the full log, right? So when you have an error, you get a little bit of this. All right. So I'm gonna end it here, but before I deploy this in Kubernetes, one thing I'm gonna do is go change the logger. So this is a JSON logger. And also I'll change the JSON logger for Nginx as well. So both should be JSON loggers. Also, I'll fix it so it doesn't go into freaking column like that. So it should be, because this is annoying. You can't read this, right? Right? So I don't know why it's like that. But that's the final thing we'll do before we do full deployment of Keycloak, single sign-on, Agentic AI, a LangFlow system, and we're going to compete with Madness, right? Madness is going down, right? Anybody? Thumbs up? Madness going down? We love Madness, but it's going